Forced to work from home by your employer? Laid off or feeling depressed at home? Do you want to make money working from anywhere? We'll show you how to do it from your couch. It's time for another episode of the Work From Home Show. Coming to you from their homes in Austin, Texas and Tampa, Florida, here are your hosts, Adam and Naresh.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Work From Home Show. I'm Naresh Vissa with Adam Schrader. Shout out to all our homies, homeboys, homegirls, home trans, all the work from homers out there. Today we have Tommy Breedlove on the show. He's the founder of Choose Goodness. He's also a Wall Street Journal and USA Today bestselling author of the books Legendary, a simple playbook for building and living a legendary life and being remembered as a legend. So we're going to talk about that book because there are GOATs, G-O-A-T, greatest of all times, and there are legends.
Who doesn't want to be a legend?
Yeah, that's right.
Want to be a legend?
Who doesn't want to be a GOAT either? That's kind of, I'll take both.
Yeah. Tommy started his corporate career at one of the largest financial consulting companies in the world. He eventually became a shareholder there and a member of the board of directors for one of the largest public accounting and financial firms in the Southeast United States. At the top of his career, Tommy experienced a transformational moment, inspiring him to walk away from the corporate world, to change his life and follow his true calling. Tommy, I think a lot of our listeners have faced similar transformational moments since March 2020, let's say, inspiring them to walk away from the corporate world and change their lives. That's why we started the Work From Home Show. So it's truly a pleasure to have you on the show. Tommy Breedlove, welcome.
Thank you, brother. It's an honor to be here. And I think we're having one of the biggest transitions maybe in the history of our economic times of people either changing jobs or leaving jobs or working from home. It's been quite fascinating just to watch it from afar. So pleasure to be here, my brother.
Well, let's start with that, Tommy, because you did walk away from the corporate world. Tell us about the transformational moment that led you to walk away from the corporate world, how it changed your life, the true calling that you're following now, and advice you have for our listeners.
Yeah, the first thing I would say about it took a lot of courage, it took a lot of coaching, it took a lot of mentoring, and it took a lot of support because when I decided to walk away, I had finally made it to the top of what I would call the corporate world. I was a member of the board of directors. I was an owner in a very large financial consulting, public accounting firm. But I had done what I call the inner game. I had done so much inner transformational work on my heart, on my mind, on my soul. And I had been in that career for almost 20 years. And I just knew that it wasn't my calling. I had done so much great work with a coach, so much great work internally, had a supporting system. And so to make a big, courageous, big change like that, it's not only about you, it's about people who will support you through that big change. Because, on the surface, people, half my network thought I was crazy. And they used the word stupid, the word idiot. And because from financial security to prestige to status, it was kind of a big deal when I walked away. But I had done so much internal work and I didn't want to be there anymore from a purpose level, from a soul level, from an impact level. And so I made the courageous change to pick myself up, dust myself off, and just go forward and chase a dream. Because what I've realized through all of this work and through all of this internal work on myself and with great coaching is life is super, super short. It's super, super precious. And I did not want to live life with regrets. So I decided to walk away at the top of the game. I wouldn't have been able to do it without unconditional love from my wife and support, because I took 70% of our household income or 65% of our household income away in one shot. I wouldn't have been able to do it without a great inner circle of friends, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without great coaching and courage to have the gumption, have the heart to walk away at the top of the game. So that's how I did it.
And you did mention that you were married. At what stage in your life were you? Did you have children? Did you have a mortgage? How old were you?
Yeah, so I'm 47 now. When I decided to step away, I was 39. I had all of that. I'm married, no kids. That's important, by the way, because I think people feel pressured to provide. But we were married, no kids. We did have a mortgage. We did have bills. We were like everyone else. Fortunately, my wife has a very good career and still does. And so let's just be clear, for when I decided to step away, the problem is, and this is for everybody, it doesn't matter if you're making $1 or $100 million. You're humans, and us in the West Coast, we're going to live the lifestyle that our salary is at. And we were accustomed to a certain lifestyle because I had made it pretty much to the top of that world and was very financially secure. So when I stepped away, it was a big adjustment for me more than it was for her. And so I sold cars, I shut down cable. I had these visions of living under a bridge. And she's like, I still have a really good career, right? So I maybe went a little overboard on being cautious, being prepared, saving, et cetera. But let's be clear, it might have been easier for me to walk away, not having children. But nevertheless, I walked away, and I'm not saying this because I have no ego left to share, but it was millions and millions of dollars. I was only 39 years old and had another 30 years, and literally I'm at the top of the game. So I walked away from millions of dollars to go chase this dream. So I don't want to undersell it, but I also don't want to oversell it, because it took a lot of support for me to just step away and go chase a dream.
Yeah, and I'll say that you're, I don't know if lucky is the right word, but you picked right as far as your wife goes, because I know a lot of wives who would say you're not quitting your job, or you walk away from this and all this money and do this dumb thing, whatever. And I'm sure you're going to share what you moved on to, but you do this dumb thing. Well, I'm out of here.
Well, if it's going to sound harsh, if your wife is tied to your money or your status, you've got the wrong spouse. It doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman. So let's just be clear that then you've got a shitty situation. I'm just going to say it how it is. Here's the thing that I love about our marriage, and I'm not saying it's been perfect. We've had our ups and downs. My wife and I like to laugh that we've been in 5 marriages, although we've been in 1. But when I started at 36 years old, when I went through my transformational moment, mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally, and started working on me to be a better man, to be a better father, to be a better, not father, I father a lot of kids, but not my own kids. I mentor a lot of kids, but to be a better person in general. What I loved about our relationship is my wife she climbed the mountain with me. She just didn't stand on the ground. She started working on herself with coaching, with therapists, with other people, with support. And so for us, yeah, I mean, and that's what it takes. You've got it. So we've got it all wrong. We like to say our family's first. That's nonsense. It's really our businesses are first, our family is second, and then we are third. That's backwards. We have to be first. And we've got to work on ourselves mentally, emotionally. I mean, we've got to do the inner game as much as we do the outer game. Then second priority is our family, friends, and network. And third priority is our business. And I'm just going to say this. Yes, I walked away at the top of the game. Yes, I walked away from a lot of money. But because of the inner work that my wife and I have done, prioritizing ourselves first, then us second, and then our business is third. What I thought was a lot of money 10 years ago and what we're experiencing now there's no comparison. And it's not because we're lucky. It's not because we don't have children. It's because we do the work every single day to be a little bit better than we were yesterday.
Yeah, you talk about how you put in the work before you got it started. What kind of work were you doing on yourself, on your life, on all of that prior to feeling comfortable making the shift?
Great question. So I lived, and I'm just going to say it just to be authentic and a little bit vulnerable, for 37 years. I came from super humble beginnings. I came from a lot of violence and abuse as a young man. And so I was telling myself this story unconsciously that I was never enough, that I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't lovable, that I wasn't valuable. And I know this is probably a little too emotional, but that's how I was unconsciously living my life. How that appeared in public was arrogance, tough guy, important guy, life of the party guy. And arrogance is just insecurity on steroids. And it almost cost me my life, my wife, and the firm at 36 years old through a lot of bad decisions. And I took the initiative to say enough is enough. I don't want to tell myself this story anymore. I don't want to believe the story, and I don't want to use my past as a crutch or an anchor anymore. I want to use it as an engine, and I want to be grateful for it. And so here's the steps that I took. I saw a therapist to deal with my past. I sought out coaches to sharpen my pencil professionally, personally, emotionally, mentally. I read everything I could get my hands on. I started practicing gratitude. I started meditating. I started exercising, and I started journaling. I did all of these things. So I'm a firm believer that if you really want happiness, fulfillment, success, whatever success looks like to you, success for me looks like freedom. But if you want happiness, fulfillment, peace of mind, courage, confidence, and success, that is work. It is not a politician. It's not a magic pill. It's not all of these external things that the media tells you. It's about doing the hard work, looking in the mirror, knowing that is the problem and the solution, and going and taking action in your life by putting nutrition into your eyes, nutrition into your ears, reading great books, listening to documentaries, getting coaches, journaling, gratitude, meditating, exercising, getting out in nature, and not outsourcing it to social media, to freaking news, to freaking all these other Netflix and Hulu and all that nonsense. So those are the steps I took. I wanted to participate in my own rescue. I wanted to be a better man, a better leader, a better husband. And so for me, I went through this massive transformation. I didn't no longer wanted to live the story that I was telling myself and the story that was told to me. I wanted to live my life. And so that's a very simplified way of what I did. And I still do to this day, 10 years later. Every single day, I do the work on myself to be a little bit better than I was yesterday.
Yeah, you've mentioned several times about the coaching that you've had, and that's obviously, it looks like it's what Choose Goodness helps people with. But how do people know, like, how did you know you found a good coach? Because there's so many. I mean, you look online and there's, hundreds of thousands of coaches in some form. Like, how did you know you'd found a good coach?
Life experience. So I seek wisdom, not degrees. Like, I was in the highest levels of public accounting, financial consulting, mergers and acquisitions. I've coached and been around a lot of doctors. I've been around a lot of business people. Degrees are freaking worthless, first of all. Except
Yes.
like, if you're going to fly a plane, you want a degree in flying a plane. You're going to do heart surgery, you want someone who's actually got, a medical degree. However, wisdom is different than academia. And so when I'm looking for a coach, I want them to have a coach. Like, if you're a psychologist without a therapist, then you're a terrible psychologist. If you're a coach without a coach, you're a terrible coach. If you're an executive without a coach, you're probably not a good executive. Think about all the great athletes, entertainers, business people. Guess what they all have in common? They have coaches. But I want wisdom. I want life experiences. I want failures. I want them to share wisdom and not opinions. If a coach says should, then you've got the wrong coach, because that's an opinion. But if a coach shares wisdom with you, here's what I did, here's where I failed, here's what I did to improve it, and here's what I did to go forward, that is a great coach. So there's all these certifications out there for life coaching and business coaching and executive coaching and blah, blah, blah. I want someone who's been there, done it, has the scars, warts, and blood to prove it, and what they did to go forward. So to me, that's what makes a world-class coach.
Let's talk about what we brought up earlier, the term legend. What is your definition of legendary, and what simple tools and strategies can anyone use to become truly legendary in business and in life, since they go hand in hand?
Yeah, so what I love about the word legendary is if I, Tommy Breedlove, say that I'm legendary, people would laugh me out of the room. What I love about this is why we picked the title Legendary for the book, and we're just so super thankful it's become a USA Today and Wall Street bestseller. But what I love about that term is it's given to us by our peers, our family, our network, the people around us. And you could be an unbelievably positive legend or a terrible legend. And so for me, that's why we picked the book. That the title for the book is because that is given to us when we earn it, either good or bad. And the book Legendary focuses on simple tools to what hopefully will build and live you. So the book takes you through a journey. And the journey is we give people what they want at the beginning of the journey. So it's simple tools, it's great stories, and it's executable things. It's not just theory, it's actionable. And it's stuff that we've done in our coaching practices and our retreats, our conferences, and what we've done in our own lives. So it starts with financial freedom, reconquering your time, building a world-class network, finding purpose in life. And so that's how you start building a legendary life. And then about halfway through the book, it takes a turn. Then you go into mastering your mindset, unconditional love, self-respect, courage, and confidence for yourself, building intimate relationships with your significant other, your friends, your network, and finally living the good life. And so to me, building and living a legendary life is a stew. And it is actionable. It is simple tactics, but it is work. And if you have the courage and the audacity to turn off the Netflix and social media and actually lean in and start living your life and not your story, you can reconquer your time. You can build toward financial confidence and freedom. You can have purpose in your life. You can build a world-class network, but also, more importantly, you can have peace of mind. You can have intimate relationships. You can get that voice outside of your head that says you're not good enough. You can conquer these things so that when you leave this one precious short life, no one's going to read your resume or read your damn bank account when you leave. But when you leave, they can say, you know what? Naresh led a legendary life. He made an impact. He left the people of this world and this world a little bit better than he found it. To me, brother, that is living a legendary life.
We talked, and you talked about your transformational moment, and obviously the pandemic has been transformational for many. I read a stat the other day. It said that between the start of the pandemic to now, 2.5 million people have retired when they would have expected. It's like 1.2 million more than they would have expected in that time frame. Now, some of them probably just retired. Some of them maybe found, an inspiration to go into another moment. But how did you find? I mean, you experienced a transformational moment. Can you tell us a little bit about that moment? But then also, how did you realize, oh, I need to go do this? Because there's a lot of people who are out there saying, I don't like my job. I'm doing this day in and day out. It pays the bills, but it's not what I love to do. And then you say, well, what do you love to do? And they say, I don't know. I'm not sure because this is all I've ever done. Kind of what was your transformational moment, and what do you suggest people kind of look for whenever they're searching for their, next thing?
So the sad thing about what you said is that in just 90% of the earth, and it's not just the United States, it's the earth. And it makes me sad that if you don't like your job, or you're not successful, or you're not happy, or you're not in the relationship that you want, what I would tell people is, I'm just going to be blunt. People say, well, what do you want in the world? And they say, oh, I want more compassion and empathy. Well, nonsense, because we're born with compassion and empathy. Our news and media take it out of us, but we're born with that. So our hearts are pure. If you asked me what I think the world needs, it's personal accountability. Yes. We are in a victim and blame and entitled culture, both sides. And so I want personal accountability. So what I would tell those folks, if you don't know what you love doing, or you have no purpose in life, or you're not in the relationship that you want, or you're not happy, or you're not fulfilled, or you're not safe, and you're worried, scared, judgmental, go find the nearest mirror, and that is your problem and your solution. It is not a politician's, it's not social media, it's not the color of your skin, it's not where you were born, what's happening to you. It is all about personal accountability. So what I would tell those people is go find the nearest mirror, look in it, and that is your problem. And by the way, that is your solution. And from books to podcasts, to education, to resources, to stuff out there, from education to coaching to therapy to books to podcasts to I don't care what you want to learn or what you want to have. There is so much wisdom on this earth, but you got to take action in your life to whatever hole you're trying to fulfill to go fill that hole. And that's what I would say. I know that's sad, but I know it's harsh, but somebody's got to say it somewhere, because here's what media and social media and our 24 hours news are saying. You're a victim. Something's going wrong. It's someone else's fault. And at the end of the day, the only person that can help you is you. And so participate in your own rescue and go make change in your life is what I would tell people.
I completely agree with that philosophy. It's how I live my life. And I didn't live my life like that because, look, when you're young, you're immature, and the first thing you want to do is have things given to you and blame. The first two things you want to do. You want to have things given to you, and you want to blame. You want to look around and say, it's this person's fault. It's, the family I was born into, their fault. It was, everyone else's fault, but not myself. But what you said is how I transform myself. I would say during my early to mid, probably like my mid 20s, I started reading some books that talked about, not your book, which I do recommend, but I started reading some other books, which I'm sure you gained some inspiration from, like the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, which we talked about in depth on this show. I think we've done like at least 3 different episodes on it and the principles from that book. And they talk about all these issues that you bring up. And the problem, I think, you said both sides are like this. I think it's only one side that's like it. But anyway, it's if you want to succeed at anything, you absolutely must take personal responsibility, because if you're constantly having this collectivist mindset of, I need this person to help me, or this government program to help me, or, I need to have this given to me in order to succeed in X, Y, and Z, or I need, I can't retire with X amount of money in the bank unless this person is elected to office, or unless, my spouse does this, or my children do that. You're just going to wait and wait and wait, and then find yourself dead, and nothing's going to have happened.
Couldn't agree more, man. And just to be clear, I lived that for 36 years. I was telling myself that story. I was telling myself that I was a victim. I was telling myself that I wasn't good enough. I was believing the story that was told to me and that others that I was telling myself. And by the way, our 24-hour news networks, I'm talking right and left, beat that into you. You're a victim, you're a victim, you're a victim, you're a victim. And that's just bullshit. And so at the end of the day, I had to man up, woman up, and look in the mirror and say, enough is enough. The only person that's going to do this is myself. So what I want people to hear is they're not alone in their fears, their insecurities, their whatever they're feeling. I've been there, I've done it, and I've coached 1,000 people through it. But at the end of the day, there's no magic pill, there's no politician, there's no person riding in on a white horse, and no, eternal figure that's going to come in and save your life. You've got to participate in your own rescue. So I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Tommy Breedlove, just a truly inspirational story, founder of Choose Goodness. Check out his book, like he said, Wall Street Journal and USA Today bestseller. It's called Legendary, a Simple Playbook for Building and Living a Legendary Life and Being Remembered as a Legend. The website is TommyBreedlove.com. That's Tommy Breed, B-R-E-E-D, Love, L-O-V-E. So TommyBreedlove.com. Also ChooseGoodnessNow.com. That's his organization, ChooseGoodnessNow.com. Tommy, any final thoughts you'd like to share with our listeners, or anything else you'd like to promote?
No, I mean, if you're looking for goodness, because, it's a fortunate and unfortunate part of my business that we are very active on social media channels. We're always working at putting out light, love, goodness, life hacks, and just hopefully making this world a little bit better place. So check me out on Tommy Breedlove on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. That's where we're very active. I have a complete disdain for Twitter, so we're not very active there. And by the way, this is really interesting. If you're on Twitter more than 3 minutes a day or 4 minutes a day, you're 60% more likely to say you had a bad day. That is a powerful stat. Take that home with you. But if you are looking for love, light, goodness, financial hacks, life hacks, time hacks, check us out at Tommy Breedlove on Instagram, Tommy Breedlove on Facebook, Tommy Breedlove on LinkedIn. And by the way, the book Legendary, it's at all your favorite bookstores. It's online. It's on Audible. It's on electronic. It's hardback, softback. So go check it out. It's an easy read. It's a fun read. And if you don't like reading, first of all, why? Second of all, I will read it to you on Audible. So check it out there.
And I'll also say regarding that stat for Twitter, we've had several episodes where we covered just how destructive a lot of this social media is. I didn't know about the Twitter stat, but that sounds about right. Social media makes you more depressed when you're on Instagram, looking at other people's pictures, comparing yourself, whether you're male or female, comparing the cars, the houses. When you're on Facebook, looking at the families, looking at the same stuff. Twitter, a lot of back and forth banter, political stuff. I get distracted. I have a neighborhood app, and I joined the Nextdoor neighborhood app because I was like, let's make friends with neighbors, and if I need a plumber or a cleaner, I've gotten some good stuff. We found our part-time nanny for my son through the neighborhood app, but oh my goodness. It's like, if you want to talk about a good way to divide a neighborhood and to walk through your neighborhood with people looking at you up and down, just check out your local neighborhood app and see people.
Or local neighborhood Facebook page.
So true. Pain likes pain, gentlemen. Pain likes pain, and pain's going to find pain, and judgment's going to find it. It's so true. But my feeds, we have literally narrowed them down to all we see is kind of goodness now. So there is hope out there. You can find hope if you look for it. You can find pain if you look for it.
Completely agreed. Tommy Breedlove, thank you so much for joining us on the Work From Home Show. To all our listeners, check us out at workfromhomeshow.com. That's www.workfromhomeshow.com. Email us if you have any questions. hello@workfromhomeshow.com. That's hello@workfromhomeshow.com. Leave us a review on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, whatever podcasting platform you use. Please, once again, get on our mailing list. It's at workfromhomeshow.com. We send out some goodies every once in a while. Until next week, keep on working from home.